Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another of our semi-finalist interviews in the Youth Entrepreneur Award 2023. I'm Matt Barnes with my partner in crime, Matt Bowman. And what I wanted to do for the next minute or so is just kind of orient people to what we're doing here with this Youth Entrepreneur Award, why we're doing it, to make sure that people understand what we're about. And so this was an idea that Matt and I kind of hatched up. What was it, back in November, maybe? I met two young men in Galveston, Texas, and wrote about it. These two young men were 10 and 11 years old. They were selling candy on the streets. They were hungry to learn about entrepreneurship, but they had very little support. And I spent some time coaching them and tried to reach out to their parent and have not gotten through. But that really started a conversation about how much one can learn through entrepreneurship. Matt, who has started at least a couple, businesses, and very successful entrepreneur. I think it was you, Matt, that kind of said, "Hey, we need to really push this thing and elevate it," right? I think I muted you. Hold on, Matt. Hold on. And herself a little bit here, but Gabby is one of the semifinalists. Got a chance to talk to her a few weeks ago. And Gabby, what we'll do is we'll start with a couple minutes of you just giving us a sense of what you're doing, what you're learning, what you're building, and then we'll start conversation around that. You have
Okay,
the floor.
sounds all right. Well, I'm Gabby Konopka. I'm from Hickory Hills, Illinois, and I own a jewelry and a clothing business, but mainly now clothing. I moved on from the jewelry part. I'm a startup and growing concern, but I'm probably into this like about 2 years. My problem is that I'm trying to help others find their confidence and ability to express themselves through the clothes they wear. I actually have some examples that I can show. So I have this one that says, self-love is important.
Nice.
In a world where you could be anything, be kind.
Excellent. Excellent.
And this one says, dear person behind me, I hope today doesn't suck. Lots of love, the person in front of you. And I think these are great examples of people showing people that they can be inspired and feel confident in what they wear. My customer description, I have a target market of mainly teenagers who struggle finding things that express who they are, because I feel like I see many people not being able to find something that fully displays their personality, and I just wanted to help others find something that they can feel confident in. And stuff that I learned in my entrepreneurial journey. So I learned a lot about how mindset has an effect on everything that you do. Negative mindset, not feeling motivated to do something, you're not going to want to keep doing it. So you just have to have a positive mindset, and then you'll be motivated. I learned about customer relationships, how it's important to communicate with your customers, see what they like, see what they don't like, see what other new things they want and what they could bring to the table. It's great having a relationship with your customers. And then one specific thing that I did in my entrepreneur class, I took it twice. I only did this the second time, but my teacher hosted this thing where the administration from my school came into my class and they pitched an idea about how they are struggling to find ways to communicate between students and parents and the school community, and how it's hard to communicate with all of them at the same time because each person uses a different platform. And we had to come up with an idea and different solutions to help out the administration with communicating between these people. And then they came into our class and we had to pitch the idea, show them our ideas. So I thought that was a great experience to be able to talk to people and come up with a solution that only doesn't involve my problem, but for other people's problems. And this even helped me with my business because it helped me realize that these little problems with communicating also can lead with my business and how I can talk to my customers and share on social media platforms and different ways that I could talk to my customers. So I thought that that was a great experience. And overall, the class is amazing, and I just like learned so much because my teacher goes into detail about everything, little quotes, is motivational every single day, and says so many different inspiring things.
Yeah, remind me the name of your teacher.
Peter Hostrasser.
That's right. So just so you know, Matt, he's a guy who's really active on LinkedIn, and so we've connected, and I thanked him for letting his classmates or his students know about this. So, Matt, any questions?
Kudos to that teacher. Just inspiring to hear teachers that see the value of giving their students real world problems, because our youth can come up with answers. And I just love that teacher. So tell them thanks, Gabby. That's a great opportunity here. That really quality teacher offering kids real world problems and giving them a chance to come up with creative solutions to them. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, let's start the questions. Why don't you go ahead and pepper her? Let's give her some hard ones today too.
All right, Gabby.
Just focus on one thing.
Wow, those are lots of different layers of learning lessons, Gabby. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it's interesting too, Matt, and just for those that might be listening, I think we may have a little technical issue here, Matt. Again, so we're recording, and so we'll air this again. But in any case, You were the third young entrepreneur in 3 that we've interviewed that has been scammed. And that to me is actually a really important learning opportunity. You realize that there are creeps out there that are looking to take your money, and the sooner you learn that, the more opportunity there are for you to be careful about that and to protect yourself. So I think that's a great learning experience. Thank you for sharing that, I guess is what I'm
Of
also saying.
course.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about how you mentioned in your intro that you have a target market. Tell me again about who that target market is, how you define them, and how that market has shifted over time.
Yeah, my target market is like teens who struggle to find clothing that expresses who they are and displays their personality. I've just realized that mainly people that are trying to look for clothing that makes them feel confident are teens, especially at my school. Like, that's my biggest support system. Everybody from my school purchases. I am trying to expand it. Like, once I go to college, I'm going soon, so I'm going to try and make my target market bigger. I also want like adults. I have some teachers, like my teacher, Mr. Hostrasser, he supported my business. Like, I have teachers that support my business, so that's also really good too.
Nice, very nice. And so, tell me again who specifically is your target market. Who's the market that you're trying to penetrate, and create the beachhead opportunity.
Like teenagers, but do you want me to like specifically describe what they look
I
like?
want you to go as narrow and as specific as you can on that.
Okay, my main people that purchase from me are about 17, 18 years old girls that honestly just always wear hoodies, always wear crew necks, but they just wear plain crew necks, nothing that really like speaks to them, inspires other people, so then they purchase from me and then they inspire others
Got
through
it.
what they wear.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hey, Gabby, tell me about how you come up with the messages. Where does that come from?
So at first I just like created some of my own. I also like researched some just little quotes or little inspiring things. On Etsy, for example, they sell certain designs. So sometimes I like purchase some from other sellers. And then a lot of the times I just have somebody send me a design and they're like, "Oh, can you do this for me?" And then I say, "Yeah." And then I post it on my Instagram, and then that's how it gets popular. Other people start seeing these designs that other customers ordered, and then that's how I get more designs from other customers.
That's cool. You look for opportunities for supporting other small businesses and supporting their causes by purchasing from them quotes and ideas and designs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. That just kind of shows how entrepreneurship is an ecosystem, that
Hmm.
you don't have to do everything yourself. You can tap into other people's expertise. And so that was kind of my next question is, do you have a group of people you work with? Or are you just solo?
Solo. I don't like helping. I don't like other people helping me. I don't put trust in other people. I just do it by myself.
So talk to me about that. What has made you realize that it's hard to depend on others when you're running a business? Because that is a real challenge that entrepreneur leaders face.
Yeah, I've made mistakes because for my clothes I use vinyl, so I have to use my Cricut machine, and I've just noticed that nobody's gonna know how to use it unless they practice using it. I've had my sister help me out a little bit, and she is so tedious with the things, but I know that you don't have to, and she's like, "I'm scared," so then I just have to end up doing it all by myself anyways. Yeah, I just like doing everything by myself. Just knowing that if I mess something up, it's fine. But if somebody else messes it up, it's a waste of product and I'm going to get upset.
So have you done everything, including like spin up all your images on your Instagram? Like you've set all that up yourself?
Yeah.
Uh, Tell me more about the tools that you've found helpful for you to run your business.
Well, for one, the machine I use. I also used to do everything on my phone, so all the little screen of me having to print out all the designs off of my little phone, I updated it to a iPad, so now it's easier to use. I just order my clothing from like a supplier online, like a bulk supplier, so I use that, and then I just use Instagram. I just take photos after I finish the design, and then I just upload it. And then, yeah, that's how it works.
How about receiving payments and managing bills and invoices? How do you do that?
I just get them through like Venmo, or since most of my customers are from school, then I just give it to them at school and they give me cash. I
So
want to do a website though. I'm working on one, but it's hard when I have so many things to do, especially focusing on college right now. It's so hard to focus on making a website, but I'm trying my best.
tell me, what do you do with the money?
Right now, I save most of it. Like I put most of it into my savings, and then a few of them, like I put my singles and my fives in my checking, but the 20s and the 10s go in my savings. And then my dad's building a garage, and then in the back of the garage, he's building an extra room. So that room is going to be where I work because right now I work in my bedroom. So I'm going to save up to put stuff into that room. And then hopefully the other savings go for college because I need to pay that too.
Tell
Nice.
me about your capital, which is how did you start? How did you get the machine? How did you get inventory? Where did you get your capital to start?
Okay, well, with jewelry, it was easy to pay because it was like small little things that I bought. And so I had money for that. So that's where I I like saved all that money, and that's when I opened my other business and I used that money. And then like the machine, that was like $200. So my mom bought that, and then once I made the profit, I paid her back for it.
I was going to say,
And
did you
then
pay back your investor?
yeah, and
Good.
then with the clothes, my mom always buys it because it's always expensive, like a couple $100s, and I usually don't use my bank account for that just in case. And so then once I make the profit, I always pay my mom back, and she like writes it down, makes sure that I don't cheat her and forget to pay her for it.
Well, be careful using your family as your loan, because my family will break legs if you don't pay back. So I don't know what
I
your family's
do, I
like.
do
Okay.
pay them back.
Okay. Well, kneecaps, all sorts of things will be broken in my family. Okay. Where do you see this going, Gabby?
Well, I hope to, after college, to open up my own store and bring all the products that I've ever tried into the store. But I also want it to be like supporting other small businesses. There's this one specific store that I'm so inspired by. It's in Florida and it's called Gasp. And she just buys different products from other small businesses and then they decide the price and she sells it, and I just want to do the same thing. I want to buy from other small businesses, put it into my store, and then sell it to support other businesses.
That's awesome.
So between now and then, what's your plan?
Honestly, just keep making clothes for other people. I hope that going into college, it doesn't slow down. I mean, maybe a little bit because I'm not going to be going to school with all these people. It's not going to be giving them easy handouts of what they order. So I'm hoping to make friends, talk to people in college, and then expand my business even more, especially because I'm going to be going to school with many more people than I'm going now. And it's new people, so new people will start supporting my business.
How
Right.
do you envision scaling, Gabby, if you have a hard time letting others work underneath you?
I think that maybe when I go to college and I start taking these business classes and people that are trying to do the same thing as me, maybe I'll let somebody in and help me.
And even on the website, you're gonna face a moment where you just can't build the website that's in your brain, and you're gonna have
Yeah.
to lean on somebody to build it for you, right? So,
Yeah.
how do you think you'll handle that?
I think it'll be fine. I think I can grow and learn to trust other people. I think I can.
Have you read or like any sort of resources that you might mention for us or for others that you used to grow your knowledge and understanding of how to build this business? Websites, podcasts, anything like that? Books?
Yeah, I mean, mainly from Mr. H.
Ah,
Everything I
yes.
know is from him. I ask him everything. If I'm struggling with something, I ask him. But sometimes I just look it up on Google and try and find something to look or read
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
if I can't find something.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay.
Hey, quick
So,
question,
yeah.
Gabby, just back again to the learning principles. If you look at school and traditional education has standard skills that you've heard them talk about your whole life, right? What are some of the biggest traditional skills and lessons learned that you've gained from entrepreneurship? Like pretend you're describing it to school people. What would you say some of those traditional school skills you've gained on your own through entrepreneurship that might resonate with a traditional educator mind?
Yeah, okay. So for one, I mean, you have to think about everything like positively and not think, also don't think like, oh, I have time for this. Like I want to open up a business and I have like 5 years. I'm going to college, I'll learn everything there. But why don't you just start now? Like you have so much time, and I feel like that the best time to start doing everything is in high school because you have so many people around you to help you out. And people like in my entrepreneur class sit on their phones the whole entire time and they don't even listen to Mr. H, and Mr. H is saying these amazing things and is always so inspiring and telling people to start now, stop procrastinating. And I feel like people now just need to think about that. They need to realize that you don't have that much time. Like in 5 years, I can already be making so much money and not just starting up my business like I said I wanted to start it up.
Right. So let me try this, Matt, because I think this is a difficult spot for a lot of young people is to use the language of school in this entrepreneurial journey. So let me give you what I heard you say, Gabby, just now. I heard you, and through this interview, you did a ton of communication with customers, with your mother, frankly, negotiating with your teacher. So communication is one bucket that traditional education would go, yeah, she clearly did a lot in the communication space. You also did a lot in time management. That's another place where in the traditional educational space, they want young people to learn how to manage their time. Research. You talked about how you went and found these things and you found ways to do things. Self-leadership is another place where in a school, they want the young person to drive the learning. And as you mentioned, a lot of young people aren't doing that in your teacher's class, for example. So these are some examples of traditional, and of course, mathematics. I mean, math, at some point, you're going to get more into this money thing. And as you start thinking about investing that money versus spending it and what types of machinery to purchase, et cetera, that's going to really get you into a whole other level of business math. So these are all categories of learning that you are absolutely learning in a way that you won't forget. And that's, to me, that's again why we're doing this, to make sure other people see how much young people learn through entrepreneurship, and to encourage more people to do it. So, all right, we've just got a couple more minutes here. Any last questions, Matt? You want to? We don't feel like we stumped her yet. We need to stump her. Let's see what we first.
I don't know. This won't stump. I'm looking for advice, Gabby. What advice would you give to other teenagers around the world that hear this?
Yeah, like I mentioned, to not waste time, start now. If there's something that you're thinking about, do it now. If the reason you're not starting something is because there's friends that you're scared are going to judge you or bring you down, you don't need those friends. You should just have friends that lift you up and are supportive. I had friends like that, and I'm not friends with them anymore. They were talking so many bad things about me just because I wanted to start my business. And now I'm not friends with them, and I think it's great. So if you have friends like that, you don't need them.
Excellent, excellent. Yep, it's amazing.
Thanks,
People,
Gabby. Well
yeah,
said.
people try to bring you down as you're trying to build something.
Yes.
Okay, here's another question then, and maybe my last. I want to understand how your parents think about your work. Again, historically, a lot of parents would discourage a young person from building an entrepreneurial activity in high school. Tell me, how did your parents react to this? It sounds like they helped to support it in some ways, but was there any concern about that? What was their journey?
Yeah. My parents are mainly supportive, but there's sometimes where my business gets like a handful. I get so many orders because sometimes I make clothing for sports teams at my school, and I'll procrastinate a little bit and I'll wait till like last minute to finish, and then I'll get overwhelmed and I get stressed and I'm like, Mom, like I can't I can't finish my homework because I need to finish this, or can I please skip school tomorrow so that I can work on these? And then she's like, I don't want you working on your business if you're not going to be focused on school. Like, that's not what I want for you. She's like, you're too stressed out. I don't think you should do this anymore. But like, if it's going, once I'm doing good and she sees the profit that I'm making and me being excited, it's what I'm passionate about, then they're both so excited. And clearly my dad's excited. He's building me a room so I don't have to work in my room anymore. So he's really excited too.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Well, Gabby, great talking with you. Any last words, Matt? Any questions?
No, you're
Gabby?
great at, yeah, keep it up.
Yep. Any last words from your side, Gabby?
No, just thank you for this amazing opportunity.
Well, this has been great. It's great to get to know you, and wish you the very best. Love the things you're putting together, and looking forward to further conversations. All right.
Me too. Thank you.
Good deal. All
Thanks,
right.
Gabby.
Thank you.
There we go. Kayla, how are you? Oh, hold on. Let me get your audio here. Okay, go ahead, Kayla. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
I can. We can.
Okay, great.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well. Very well. Thanks
Hi,
for joining.
Kayla. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Matt, and of course, that's Matt Bowman. And you got a chance to listen in a little bit on the previous candidate, correct?
Yeah, I heard some of it.
Yeah, good. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. The first couple minutes. We're going to invite you to just tell us your entrepreneurial journey. I will move to a different type of image, but I want to make sure that the audio stays with us. So I may bounce back and forth. Try not to let that distract you too much. Tell us your entrepreneurial journey. Tell us what you're building, what you're learning. And again, I know you're doing two things, so we want to make sure we have time to talk about both. So maybe lead with the one that you're most excited about. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, you have the floor, Kayla.
So my name is Kayla Varaza. I'm 16. I'm from Auburn Hills, Michigan. And two of the projects that I'm currently working on is Arcana and Blumico. The one that currently has my focus is Arcana. And Arcana is a portable biometric medical identification device. So what that means is just a device that is portable and that you can use to identify yourself. Its main targets are for people who are in humanitarian emergencies, so like refugees or people struck in disasters. The main customers are governments or humanitarian organizations who are looking to solve the issue of identification, particularly medical identification during these emergencies, because they're typically in remote areas, which is hard for them to access medical records without internet or electricity. And Arcana solves that problem. And Blumico is just it's a toilet system that is for marginalized communities, basically like third world developing countries that typically don't have access to that, and it basically turns feces and urine into fertilizer. So yeah.
Well, tell us how you got started in both of those. What got you into those arenas, Kayla? Thank you.
Okay, so it was kind of long, but how I basically got into it was MIT has this yearly competition. It's called MIT Solve, and you solve basically a global issue. And I started brainstorming, and I thought of, Blumico, because I'm from Africa, which is a place that typically doesn't have toilets, which is seen as like not a big issue, but billions of people around the world do not have access to toilets. So I thought of that, and I started researching it. And I found all of these things, and because I'm not an expert in any of those fields, I decided to email a professor, and we talked about it. We bounced off ideas to each other, and that's how I started with Blumico. And then Arcana just came after that when, because I just wanted to solve another issue that I heard about on the news, which was a recent Turkey, what's it called? the Turkey thing that happened at Turkey, where they're having the issue of identifying people because they had lost electricity.
So I'm curious, and we talked a little bit about this, Kayla, but when you started this process, you mentioned that you began to email professors.
Yes.
That's out of the blue? How did that happen?
It wasn't out of the blue. Since it's so complex, obviously the process of turning feces into fertilizer isn't something that comes like that. So I wanted someone who was knowledgeable in engineering. So I started cold emailing professors from University of Michigan, MSU, and finally a professor from MSU got back to me after 30 emails, and he's actually the head of research for CS and biotech, basically. So we got into touch, and he was like, I'd love to talk to you. I don't know much about that field, but I can get you into touch with someone who does. So then he got me into contact with the head of engineering, and she invited me on campus actually this following April 28th to basically talk about Blumico. And then Arcana, what I'm doing for that now is Google actually has this thing where, they're looking into AI. That is something that they're very interested in. And Arcana actually utilizes AI. So I signed up for the thing, which was very long. It was a very long process to basically try to receive funding through Google for Arcana.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. So I'm very intrigued that someone would spend that much time tracking down a contact. That is a really, really positive sign in your entrepreneurial journey. So, Matt, any questions for you?
Yeah, I agree, Matt. I was wondering how did you draw the determination internally to keep doing 30 cold emails with no responses and going to multiple universities, and like, Kayla, what do you credit that ability to battle through a rejection or people ignoring you? Like, where'd you learn that, and how'd you learn that?
I don't know. I've just always been interested in such things, and I know these ideas are good. I know that they're impactful, and it may not be something that someone else might not be interested in, but it's always there will be some person who will be interested in your idea. You just have to keep going until you finally secure funding or networking or any kind of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you get
Yes.
over the fear? Like, I'm sure you have felt fear at some point, haven't you, Kayla? And
I don't think so. Actually,
all right.
I've been more curious and intrigued than anything. Actually, for Arcana, I had to learn how to computer program. Like, my first ever computer programming class, I failed. Like, that was last year, and I failed. I didn't know how to do it, and I was like, if I wanted Arcana to come into fruition, I had to program it. I had to show that this is not just a concept, this is a prototype. So I had to sit there for hours on end and learn how to basically program. And, that's another reason for learning. I heard about the school thing. I remember thinking to myself, I switched to online school this year because I just felt like the 7 hours I was spending at school revising these subjects, I could be spending it being like more hands-on, because you're in class, you're just sitting there, you're just listening to someone else, and I was like, I can do all of those things, I can get the same exact grades if I just do it at home. So I just wanted more time to basically just grow.
At some
I
point,
love that.
At some point, I'll share you my story about my daughter, but not today. Let's keep asking you questions. Okay, so again, just to summarize, cold emails and the networking, that's sales, because you're essentially trying, it's research, sales, and networking. You're trying to learn as much as you can. And the best way to learn, and you've learned it already at 16 or 17, however old you are, is from an expert or someone who has been in that space, right? And so that you did that is really, really positive. That you've networked, right? You talk to 30, you've reached to 30 to get to one. That one hands you off to someone else. Now you're tied in, you're meeting on campus with someone. Fantastic. You're learning about programming. That's the kind of stuff that had someone told you, we're going to program this year, you're not that motivated. But now you are motivated because you're trying to solve a problem and you need the coding in order to achieve that goal. That's the
Exactly.
difference. Okay, so I'm just summarizing. Let's go deeper here. So how far along are you? You mentioned you have a prototype. Tell me about what that looks like and what the stage of that is.
Okay, so Arcana, basically what I've done so far is I've created a model of it and I've programmed it. But the problem I'm currently having right now is securing the funding to actually make it. Although I know how the software part of it, which is just coding, the hardware is the actual model of it, which includes biometrics. So biometrics is just your fingerprint readers, your iris scanner, like the stuff that we use to identify who you are. But I obviously don't know how to manufacture that. So it's still in its prototype phase because I have to get the funding to make it, but I also have to find a manufacturer to make it,
Interesting. Let's drill down a little bit on other types of tools that you've had to learn in this journey, like software tools or platforms, or what kind of supporting tools do you use in your businesses?
There's actually many things I've had to learn, but I'd say the biggest two is obviously programming and then also creating a CAD model because that's not easy at all. CAD model is just like electronic model of your design. So it's like, the blueprint of your design, but you have to make it on a computer, which is very difficult. Another thing I've had to learn is email etiquette. I even had to make a LinkedIn. I didn't even know what LinkedIn was last year, but I had to make it in order to talk to professionals in these spaces.
Are we connected on LinkedIn?
I think so.
We need to be.
I'm not sure.
If we're not, let's make sure we get connected. I want to introduce you to my network, definitely. Okay, so I'd like to keep drilling down on the kind of where you are in this process of building something. So you have done a CAD prototype. What's your next move? You said you need money in order to build an actual working prototype. Is that like, what is your next move?
I think my next move is honestly, so these are the three things I'd probably use the funding for. It's not just the manufacturing. I also want to make sure my code is strong, because we're dealing something that is made for government agencies or things like humanitarian organizations that are run by the government. So since it has people's like personal info, and you are able to make an ID, essentially an online ID, it has to be secure. It can't be something that can be easily hackable. So another thing I'd use for the funding is actually recruiting other people, because I can't be the only person who programs this. I need other people to look at the code and tell me, hey, this is where it can get better. So another thing is obviously getting people, and then manufacturing is the other thing that needs to like come into fruition.
I wanted to ask more about people and a team. So it sounds like you're solo now. What kind of people are you looking for, and what kind of people have you worked with before? Tell us about the learning how to expand into a team leadership role.
I'm looking for a diverse team, and what I mean by that is people who do different things. I'm not looking for well-rounded people. I'm looking for people who have a spike. Spike is in they have something that they're good at. You know them for that thing. So I want people who are good at programming. I want people who are good at talking. I want a team, because I can't do all of this by myself, and no good thing has ever come without, people. And I feel like I can trust people because those things can get sorted out, those small problems. But if you have a whole pack of people behind you, then everything just becomes way easier,
So, I really like that. You're looking for people with spike.
I like that too.
Yeah.
That's a great phrase, Kayla.
Yep. I want to press on you though, Kayla. There's a lot of entrepreneurs who will say that if I just had the money, I could build this deal. And I'm going to press you on that. Like, brainstorm with me for just a couple minutes. What are other ways that you can begin to build energy behind this that's not just you and money?
Another way I can, obviously, what I've been doing and what I'm doing right now is actually getting publicity. Talking about my idea and bringing it out there. Bringing it to platforms like colleges, like what I've done, MIT, competitions like you've done. And I also plan on doing ISAF, which is one of the biggest science fairs it's actually international, which I plan to bring Arcana to by like next year. So there's all these people in different spaces. There's people who are business, and then there's academia, which are two things that Arcana satisfies. And also, governments who would be the customers for this project.
Yeah. And who are aligned partners? So you mentioned government may be a potential customer. Who are folks that right now would be interested in your work?
I feel like right now, from, obviously at the bigger scale, it'd be governments. But then at a lower scale, I would say it would be like humanitarian organizations.
So hold on, let me pause you. So I want you to be more specific. When you say governments, which ones? And when you say non-governmental organizations or humanitarian organizations, which ones? I'm looking to help give you help you give me clarity about who exactly you're after.
I'm gonna make sure I'm saying this right.
No. Don't need to research. My point about this is there's a conversation here about when you're in the social entrepreneurship space, it's a little different than the for-profit space. For-profit, you're looking for customers, and you're looking for the beachhead customers so you can begin to test what you've developed. In your social entrepreneur space, you oftentimes need to find a team of people who care about what you care about, and that team will begin to do some of the things that you're looking for without money. They begin to test the code. They begin to maybe find someone who's interested in manufacturing something like that, or someone who's been trying to do something like this and wants you to become a part of their team, right? But to the degree that you can start to identify specifically who really stands to, I won't say benefit, but who really is already interested in what you're putting together. The more specificity you can find on that, the better. Go on.
When I was researching Arcana, it wasn't something, Arcana isn't a new idea. In the sense, it's already been done and is becoming into fruition, but not in the way that Arcana is doing it. So Arcana is a standalone device, and currently the UNCR, so the United Nations for Commissioners for Refugees, does a similar program, but they do it in the sense where they have laptop computers and all these things, like all the little pieces you need to like identify someone, but they're not doing it in a device that's portable and fast. So that's who I'd say would be interested in this, because they've been interested in it for a while, but they still haven't come up with anything that is like a standalone device that does it, that's portable, you know.
Got it. Okay. Matt, any questions?
Yeah, Kayla, what are some of the resources that have helped you learn about this? Books or podcasts, videos? What are your top 5 things that have given you inspiration or education around your journey?
Honestly, I'd say my top one would be social media, in the sense of like, I joined a Reddit page called Applying to College, and through there I was able to learn about things such as cold emails. I didn't even know what that was. And then another thing I'd say would be YouTube, actually learning how to program. And that's where I learned how to program for free. And then I think the last space would probably be LinkedIn. That's very good, because I saw other teenagers like me, and I saw their network and what they're doing and their projects. It was just like, it made it easier for me to learn.
Interesting.
I'm looking you up on LinkedIn right now, by the way, Kayla. Yeah, and so tell me about your mom and your parents, or like what. It sounds like you moved from a traditional school to an online school. You really sounds like you've been spending a lot of time in this social entrepreneurship space. Are your parents are they worried about you? Do they think you're losing your mind?
Actually, I haven't asked my mom, but I think she knows that I want to go into CS, and she knows about me talking to professors.
CS,
and
computer science, excuse me.
Yeah,
Okay.
CS. And talking to professors and, doing all these academia things. So I think she just thinks I'm academic driven, but I don't think she knows that I want to be an entrepreneur. But I know if I became one and show her like the actual results, because all parents want their kids to succeed. And that's normally something that's safe. But if I show her that I'm able to do this, I'm sure she'd be fine with it.
So does she know you're interviewing for this today?
Yes, she does.
Okay, I would hope so. Okay, so but in terms of her encouragement of these social entrepreneur activities, she's kind of neutral.
I think she's like neutral, like she's okay with it, leaning towards the okay.
Yeah. So really, this is you driving it. This is something that's on your heart.
This is my passion, essentially.
I've got other questions here. All right, we got about 5 minutes left on this, Matt.
Yeah, I'll give one. Just describe the top 1 or 2 biggest obstacles that you've had to overcome, either personally or internally or externally, to get where you are today. What are some of the hardest things you've had to battle through?
I think this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs come through, is having this big idea and then searching it up and then finding something similar or maybe exactly like that. So what I'd have to learn was basically becoming an innovator, thinking of ways to basically evolve the product or do something different with it, you know? So I say that's the biggest thing I've done.
And then
That's
going,
super.
sorry, Matt, go ahead, finish.
No, just being able to adapt and pivot and and understand that your great idea might have been great at the time, but it's okay to embrace that you're going to change it a little bit. Sometimes people get afraid to take an idea and adapt it, or they see it's already done and so they just quit.
Yeah.
So I'm super proud of you, Kayla. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to go back to kind of thinking about the next, say, and remind me, you're 17 or 16? I can't remember.
I'm 16.
16. So in 2 years, imagine yourself at 18 and you're looking back in time. What are the reasons, if at 18, if this idea hasn't germinated into something more tangible, what in your mind would be the reasons that it didn't happen in the next 2 years? Does that make sense? Like I want you to imagine yourself at 18 and then work backwards and see what are the barriers that stopped you from getting to that place you would hope to be in 2 years.
I feel like the only way that these ideas wouldn't have been able to come into fruition is I either didn't work on the time to pitch myself in a way that I'd be sound valuable to investors, or I simply just stopped. And I don't think I'd ever stop with these ideas.
Got it. Okay. Well, so it's really the story. It's how you can communicate your mission and the need. And I've got a book that I'm going to send to you. I'll send to your mom, and it's about story and storytelling. And I think that might be of some use to you. So, great.
Thank you.
Well, yes. So any last comments, Matt? Any last thoughts, questions? Want to try to stump her with something technical?
No, that's not me. But I will say I'd love to end with Kayla. For teenagers out there, what advice would you give them?
I'd say just follow your passion. You know, there's honestly nothing stopping you with inventions such as AI or the internet. You can literally do anything. You know, you have the time.
Good
How about
advice.
around schooling? What advice would you give them around schooling and whether high school or college? What's your advice around education?
You know, I think education is important. I don't think you have to drop out to become the next big thing, you know. There's obviously things in academia that could help you pursue your entrepreneurial goals. And also, like, honestly, just help you too. Like, gain the skills to do it.
Nice. Okay. Well, Kayla, this has been great. Really, really love hearing about what you're working on. And again, remind me, I'll send you an email and we can figure out if it's hard copy or soft copy you'd prefer. But it's a great book about storytelling and one that you absolutely will need where you're heading. So applause for you for your work, and great to have you on. Any last words for you?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, have a great rest of your weekend, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Thanks, Kayla.